Disney Soul. Adapted by Bill Scollon, illustrated by the Disney Book art team. Once they got to Joe's apartment, there was a knock on the door. It was Connie, from Joe's music class. She told Joe that she wanted to quit the trombone. But when Connie played, it was clear she loved music. She just needed a little encouragement to stick with it. 22 was feeling something she'd never felt before: inspired.
I'll help you, but I want to try a few things while we're here. If Connie can find something she loves, maybe I can, too.
Dressed in Joe's trusty old brown suit and, after a mishap with some electric hair clippers, hurried to visit Des at Buddy's barbershop. 22 liked sitting in the barber's chair. She soon had the whole room gossiping, laughing, and even philosophizing with her. No one had ever seen that side of Joe before. 22 was finally feeling comfortable in Joe's body when an unexpected gust of wind knocked Joe's hat off. As 22 bent over to grab it, Joe's pants ripped at the seam. There was only one place where they could get the pants fixed in a hurry: Joe's mom's tailor shop. Joe's mom, Libba, had heard about his upcoming performance with the Dorothea Williams Quartet. She was upset he was chasing an impossible goal. But for the first time, Joe was ready to tell his mom exactly what his dream meant to him. He leaned in and told 22 just what to say.
Look, if I'm doing what I love, no matter how hard that is, I'll be fine.
Libba listened and smiled. Then, instead of sewing up Joe's pants, she opened the closet and pulled out a surprise.
That's my dad's suit.
As Joe and 22 waited for Moonwind outside the half note, 22 watched a maple seed slowly spin to the ground. She admitted she was beginning to like being on Earth. Maybe she hadn't found her spark in the Hall of Everything because her spark was walking, or sky watching. Joe disagreed. Those couldn't be her spark. They weren't a real purpose. She would just have to try again when she got back to the U seminar.
No, I've got to find it here.
On Earth, this is my only chance to find my spark.
22 ran down the street and ducked into a subway station. Joe was right behind her, meowing furiously. Then, out of nowhere, Terry appeared. There you are, Joe Gardner. It's your time to go. A portal scooped up Joe and 22, and their souls returned to the U seminar. Joe was upset. He'd been moments away from finally playing with Dorothea Williams. Suddenly, the counselors were congratulating 22. She had earned her Earth pass. But the young soul still had no idea what her spark was. 22 handed Joe the Earth pass.
It filled in because I was in your body being you. It's your spark that changed it, not mine.
22 slipped away, leaving Joe alone at the portal's edge. Curious, Joe asked one of the counselors what 22's purpose was, what had finally completed her Earth pass. The counselor just laughed. They didn't assign purposes to souls. Joe refused to believe the counselor. After all, music was his purpose. It's what he was meant to do. Joe took the Earth pass and jumped into the portal. Back on Earth, Joe sat at the half-note piano as the Dorothea Williams Quartet took the stage. From his first note to the last, Joe played his heart out. He was in perfect sync with the other musicians, and his solos brought the house down. It was everything Joe had dreamed. But later, after the show, Joe felt strangely unfulfilled. He thought playing with the quartet would make him feel different somehow, but it didn't. Nothing had changed. Back at his apartment, Joe sat at his piano. He noticed his pocket was filled with items 22 had gathered during her day on Earth. He dumped the objects next to the piano and began to play. As he pressed the keys, he considered the items. They looked so small and ordinary, but they were reminders of the little things that 22 loved about life. As Joe played more intently, he closed his eyes, his focus grew, and he entered the zone. Then, when he opened his eyes, he was back on the astral plane.
No, wait, 22. I was wrong.
Joe apologized, promising 22 she was ready for Earth. But 22 couldn't hear him. In a last, desperate attempt, Joe reached out and placed a maple seed in 22's hand, a reminder of her love for Earth. Finally, 22 began to calm. Joe gave 22 back her Earth pass and walked her to the edge of the Earth portal.
But we never found out what filled in my last box.
Joe smiled.
It doesn't matter. It's what you do with it that counts.
He promised to stay with 22 as long as he could.
Relax. I've done this before. Ready.
22 and Joe leapt into the portal, and 22's Earth pass began to glow. He smiled reassuringly as she let go of his hand, and Joe returned, once more, to the great beyond. Joe was back on the moving sidewalk when Counselor Jerry stopped him. Joe had inspired all the counselors, and they had a special gift for him. An Earth portal materialized beside the sidewalk, and so, Joe took one more fateful step, unsure of what lay ahead, but prepared to appreciate each and every moment of his wonderful life.